We are here with Alisa Vitti, who is a functional nutritionist, the founder of FloLiving.com, the best-selling author of Women Code, and the creator of My Flo app.
Hi, so good to be here.
Killed that.
I love talking about periods, so if you have ovaries, this is the place to be today.
Yes.
Hello.
Okay, so I kind of discovered Alisa through a few friends having conversations about periods, hormones, and I subscribed to her newsletter, and I was like, this info is priceless. So
glad.
Let's get her on. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of your journey, how you came to be doing what you're doing, and how we can let's talk about it all.
Real talk, ovary real talk. So, I struggled with my cycle for a long time. So from 12 to 22, I didn't get my period at all. I just couldn't get my cycle. I would get it, I think I got it sort of at 16 once, and I got maybe 2 more times during that whole decade.
Oh, wow.
And it just wasn't happening. And increasingly, I would be having all of these other symptoms, like the most severe acne you could possibly imagine, which I know seems hard to believe now, given because my skin is
flawless.
And it's such a privilege to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad. I mean, when I tell you I would take the thickest under eye concealer and spackle my face for half it took so long I had to get a vanity to sit down.
Oh my goodness.
Because it was just I couldn't stand up for that long to spackle every welt on my face. It was embarrassing.
Yeah,
it was humiliating, and even when you would cover it, it was still lumpy and not cute.
Yeah.
And it was on my face and my chest and my back, and then I wasn't getting my period, and I was miserable, and I was just gaining all this weight. I used to be over 200 pounds.
What?
Oh yeah, there was that too. And no one knew what was wrong with me. And I went to the best gynecologist up in the Boston area. Then I was at Hopkins, fully planning to become an OBGYN myself. I was always passionate in health and wellness, and that I thought was my calling. And then I finally figured out, I was just so desperate to figure out what was wrong with me. I was in the medical library one insomniacal night of many that I had.
Yeah.
And I found a little article about the symptoms that I was having, and I thought, oh my God, this is me. I have this exact constellation of symptoms.
Did you immediately feel relief a little bit? At least now there's a glimpse.
There's a name for the thing that I
Yeah.
have, and I went to my GYN the next day. We did a confirmatory test that they had not done before, which is called transvaginal ultrasound. So anybody who may think that they have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, you need a transvaginal ultrasound. And they looked at my ovary and they said, oh my gosh, you're right. You do have this. How did we not know? And I said, well, that aside, what do we do now?
Right.
Now that it's been 7 years and I've been suffering, what can we do now?
Right.
And, it was pretty life-changing. That moment, I was told that I would never get better, that I would continue to have, problems with obesity, that I would likely develop diabetes, that I would not be able to conceive naturally, that I would,
what was that?
there was a little orchid fly, a little.
What the hell?
We're nature.
Get out of here.
Nature.
I know we are. There's a lot of plants in here. Okay.
That I would not likely be able to conceive naturally, maybe even not with artificial reproductive technologies like IVF, and that I would end up likely having increased risk of heart disease and cancer. I mean, I was 20 when I heard that, and the doctor then said, but don't worry, we'll just medicate you along the way. And I thought,
Nope.
every cell in my body just said no. And I had no idea what else I was going to do.
Right.
But I said the words that came out were, I'm going to take my very expensively trained mind and go figure this out.
Totally.
Because I'm a nerd from Hopkins.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and I was there were just a lot of really important pieces of research that were coming out at that time from the Human Genome Project and epigenetics, and how we can manipulate gene expression with diet and lifestyle, which of course applies to glandular function in the endocrine system. That was my first big breakthrough into developing the Flo protocol. Then it was looking at, the sort of synthesizing certain practices from traditional Chinese medicine and functional nutrition, and really bringing together a cohesive protocol that within 6 months of really finding the right sequence and the right cumulative steps, just watching what my body did was really life-changing. I mean,
my goodness.
The 60 pounds, gone. Skin looks like what it looks like now. My period came back and has never been irregular since.
Stop.
I'm not going to stop, because that's what has happened.
So tell me some of those steps that you took.
So one of the thing that I discovered about the endocrine system, and whatever it is that you have, if you have PCOS or fibroids or endometriosis or irregular periods or amenorrhea, your period's missing, or heavy cramps, or whatever, PMS, PMDD, whatever it is, the condition is not the most important piece of information. It's just the official fire alarm ringing. Officially, your endocrine system is now not functioning the right way.
Okay.
Because you have had.
So no matter what the alarm sounds like, it's an alarm.
It's an alarm, and you have to take immediate action.
Okay.
Not to spot treat the acne or the weight or the bloating or the headaches or the migraine.
But the endometrius.
But the endocrine system, the system of glands from your brain to your ovary that talks to each other with the language of hormones, right? The chemicals of hormones are making the endocrine system do its job.
Okay.
That's what you have to do, which sounds really complicated, but it is not.
Okay.
Because what you're doing is you're supporting its key core functions in the right sequence. So the first step of the protocol is getting your blood sugar stable, because your hormones will not balance themselves in your cycle if your brain, your heart, and your muscle tissue don't have consistent, adequate supply of glucose. That is the primary drive of your hormonal system.
So what is the right amount? Because I mean, when you think about sugar, you think about, trying to eat low sugar, not processed. Sugar feeds cancer, sugar feeds yeast, candida, all these things.
All the bad things.
So where's the balance?
You want to get them from natural whole foods like fruits, vegetables, carbohydrates, like slow burning, whole grains, sweet root vegetables, things like that. Mm-hmm. These are carbohydrates that you 1,000,000% need to function. This low carb, no carb thing that you might think you need to lose weight actually can make you fatter and will make your hormonal imbalance worse. You actually need carbohydrates to make enough progesterone, for example, in the luteal phase, the PMS phase, to not have PMS, right? PMS is a hormonal imbalance. What is PMS? Too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. They need to be like this. If they're like this, you have all the bad stereotypical PMS symptoms.
Right.
Bloating, breast tenderness, mood swings, acne, whatever, you feel crazy.
Right.
That is not supposed to happen. This is supposed to happen. You have to eat in order for this to happen.
Okay.
Specific foods that contain the right micronutrients to bring your progesterone levels up.
Okay.
That's it.
So what are some of the best foods to bring your progesterone levels up?
Foods that are rich in B6, like chickpeas and sunflower seeds and egg yolks.
Love that.
And foods that are rich in B vitamins in general, which circles us back to those good, slow sustaining carbohydrates like whole grains.
Sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which of course makes beautiful sense, because what do you crave the week before your period?
Carbs.
Because you need them, not because you have no willpower.
And sugar.
But that's only because you're deficient in calories. If you're starving yourself, your brain and your heart and your muscle tissue are going to send out powerful neurotransmitters called ghrelin to make you eat.
Sounds like a gremlin.
It is. That's how I remember it, actually. And then leptin is the neurotransmitter that makes you stop eating. But you won't have any leptin if you don't have enough calories to burn enough glucose for the brain, the heart, and the muscle tissue.
I see.
And then on top of just feeding the brain and the heart and the muscle tissue, you then need to have enough B vitamins to detox estrogen, to make enough progesterone, to keep your mood stable. You have to power eat like you're an Olympic athlete to keep your hormones balanced. But it's not because and it won't make you gain weight. If anything, it'll make you get very easily to your ideal metabolic state.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
that's just step one.
That's step one.
That's just step one.
Okay.
Then we go into balancing the adrenals. I mean, how many of us are not?
Mine are shot.
Stressed to the max.
Mine
right?
are gone.
You look good though. I don't see a lot of darkness under the eye, or I don't see a lot of adrenal fatigue.
Oh,
Do you have problems with waking up in the morning or going to sleep at night?
But that's my problem, I think, is that because I don't have the symptoms of someone whose adrenals are completely depleted, but
you feel it.
Yeah.
There are 3 stages. I mean, technically 4 stages of adrenal fatigue, but stage 1, you're right, doesn't seem like anything's wrong. You just might have a feeling that you feel, kind of like more dull, less sharp, less get up and go, right? Mm-hmm. That's stage 1. And you want to not quickly go down the downward spiral of stage 2 and stage 3 because it takes a while to get out. So we all have to counteract the effects of stress on the body. One of the biggest forms of stress that women do to themselves every day, and I know this is not going to be popular, but I'm going to say it because I love you, is caffeine. Coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach sends your blood sugar on a roller coaster that you won't get out of until you go to sleep that night.
Oh, wow.
And strips your body of B vitamins and magnesium, which you need for a healthy cycle, healthy hormones, healthy mood.
But all caffeine.
All caffeine.
So even having that Earl Grey tea in the morning.
Coffee, black tea, green tea, matcha tea, no.
Wow.
Decaf, full of chemicals, don't even bother. I have been caffeine-free for 20 years of my life. And I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I run an international business, and I have a husband, and I have life, and I do what I do.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm here today, and I was like interviewing at preschool this morning, and like did my face, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what Dandy Blend is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. I'll show it to you after.
Okay,
But
cool.
it's a caffeine-free like coffee alternative that I love.
Dandelion root?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It's like a chicory root dandelion.
There's so many great things that you can do. I personally love a combination of kukicha and rooibos, plain rooibos and kukicha, which is a twig tea.
Okay.
It's very nutty. It looks like coffee. It's very dark. It gives you that same experience of the ritual, but it's actually healing your adrenals.
Okay,
It's
need that.
full of antioxidants.
Okay.
And it's like a digestive aid. So
Wow.
switch to that.
Okay.
We can put some like details somewhere.
Yes.
And then if you're going to have any caffeine, it has to be after on a full stomach. We're the only culture on this planet that does caffeine on an empty stomach.
Yes.
You travel anywhere in the world.
You have an espresso after
the
lunch.
meal. You have tea, green tea, black tea after food.
Yeah, which also helps with your digestion.
Exactly, that's what it's for.
Right.
But to do it on an empty stomach really wreaks havoc on your blood sugar, depletes the body, and then of course you're having more than one cup because you have one in the morning, then you have one in the afternoon.
Right.
You can't sleep at night, your B vitamins are all off. This is a really big problem. That's just one form of stress.
And what do you think about Bulletproof?
I love Dave, and we have talked on several occasions about the fact that, the research is very clear that caffeine for women is actually in their reproductive years is actually detrimental to their hormonal balance. But the studies also show that for women post-menopause, so after your very last period when you're like in your 50s or potentially early 60s, that you should be drinking caffeine because it has so many cognitive protective effects.
I see. Okay, so no wonder everyone's always like, well, they say coffee is good for you. They say coffee is bad for you.
It's when
it's
time
good.
Of your life.
So,
and studies also show that for men who drink more than 2 cups of coffee a day reduce their success of IVF with their partner by 50%.
Oh my God.
So it affects men too.
Wow. Okay.
Caffeine is really profound on ovulation, can suppress ovulation, can suppress sperm creation as well.
That's crazy. So what do you think about Bulletproof if you were to do it with a non-caffeine?
I think it's great. I mean, listen, if you were going to do any coffee, even after a meal, I love the Bulletproof because you've got the MCT oil.
Right. Okay. So you're into like the full, like the fat and MCT.
You could do it after a meal if you can tolerate. There's a gene, there's a CY9 something gene that lets you know if you can break down caffeine in your system.
Oh wow.
If you don't have this gene, you can't break it down.
And what does it do if you can't break it down?
It creates a lot of problems in your system. Like when I don't have it, when I drink caffeine, I have like a mini anxiety response.
Brendan has that.
And so you can't and so drinking coffee Bulletproof after a meal at any time, bad for you.
Yeah, he goes haywire.
Some people can tolerate it and other people can't. It should really be a controlled substance. And I think in the future we'll all just be doing little like genetic tests. Should I eat this food or this coffee?
Totally.
And we'll be much more particular.
But
I think for, if you're watching because you have period problems, it's like a big no-no. You got to get off the sauce.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's step 2.
Step 2 is adrenals, caffeine. Okay.
That's one of the ways. Exercising the right way for each week of your cycle is another way to protect the adrenals, which we can talk more about.
Oh, cool. I would love to talk about that.
Step 3 is really about helping you metabolize all of this excess estrogen that's causing your breakouts, your breast tenderness, your mood swings, your bloating. Mm-hmm. You've got to eat in a particular way and particular foods to help your liver break that all down and get it out of your system every single day.
Okay.
And then the last step is the cycle syncing piece, which I know for those of you who've already downloaded MyFlow are starting to do.
I've downloaded it.
Basically, the whole premise is, and what I realized in my research, is that you have 4 distinct hormonal ratios each week of your cycle. Your brain is different by 25% each week of your cycle.
That's crazy.
25%. You're not actually the same person each week. And even walking around thinking that you should perform the same way, eat the same way, do the same exercises, even have the same kind of sex week over week is biologically inaccurate and wrong.
Wow.
And then all the inner critical shit that happens as a result of that is unnecessary. Because you're delightful, you're just different a little bit each week, and you want to eat in ways to support that and exercise in ways, and that's what's called cycle syncing. And
I love this.
Yeah.
Wow, oh my God.
Fun. Yeah, it blew my mind when I discovered it.
It seems like, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I was like, how are we not all being taught this from the beginning?
It seems like a little difficult to kind of figure out. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems a little overwhelming.
Sure, that's why I got the app.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So for instance, I would love to chat with you about like what's going on with my period.
Let's do it.
Okay, so
I like that you wore red.
Yeah, well, obviously for you, I planned that. So over the summer, I had a really long cycle, like abnormally long. We're talking like 70 days. I took 3 different pregnancy tests. I have an IUD.
Yeah.
I was freaked.
Yeah.
Something's off, obviously.
Yep.
More than just like travel and stress. So then I started going to acupuncture, and I really tried to like get my cycle together. And in the last like 4 cycles have all been still on the long side, but consistent, like 31, 32 days.
Great.
So is
anywhere from 27 days to 32 days is normal, as long as it's the same for you each cycle.
Okay.
28 days is just, you know, it's like what happened with labor. You know, a bunch of guys wrote some textbooks and they were like, we have to pick some standard of what we think should be happening. Labor should be progressing at a certain time so that we can have efficiency in the hospital. A woman's cycle should be this way so we can chart when she might be fertile. But it isn't actually that way. You know, your body is unique to you, and you may have certain things going on. So, you know, prior to being pregnant, my cycle was very consistently 30 days. Since having my child, my cycle is very consistently 27 days because I'm breastfeeding. So my progesterone and estrogen are slightly lower because of the breastfeeding. When I stop breastfeeding, I expect it to go back to 28 to 30 days.
Okay.
Right? So you have to appreciate that this is like a living experience that you're having with your cycle. It changes with you.
Right.
The fact that you had a super long cycle, it should be concerning.
Yeah.
Right? Were you not ovulating? Was it a problem with ovulation? Right?
Yeah.
I don't know because you didn't maybe not take an ovulation test.
No.
Was it a problem with luteal phase defect? So those are the 2 reasons why you would have a really long cycle. So either ovulation was being suppressed for some reason, sometimes due to extreme stress. That can happen. For anybody who's ever remembered taking like finals when you like would stress out for weeks, I mean, I could predict that I would not get my cycle anytime there was like a major testing going on, because I was just too stressed and I was not sleeping at night, all that kind of stuff. So that's a real thing.
Okay.
So stress related, cortisol goes up, ovulation goes down.
Right.
Then there's luteal phase defect, where you don't have enough progesterone to initiate the cycle.
Okay.
And then it can just last and last, and you can kind of feel like you're in this PMS fog for like weeks, and you feel like you're about to get your period, but it never comes.
Right.
It's miserable.
Right.
So
I didn't feel that. I felt more, I guess, maybe that my...
you were sort of in follicular phase, and it never came to fruition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that could be the case for if it's stress related and you've been able to resolve it, then that's great. That can also be an indication that something's off, potentially like a very moderate form of PCOS.
Okay.
You know, it's worth investigating.
Okay, so it's worth investigating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I should go for an ultrasound maybe.
Yeah, I think it's really important for women. I go every year for a complete hormonal panel, which I do via saliva, because saliva is the gold standard because your hormones fluctuate throughout the cycle.
Right.
And then I do a full blood work hematocrit to just see all my micronutrient levels to make sure that I'm having enough of the, you know, the things that I need in my body's chemistry, my blood chemistry, to do everything supportive for my hormones, right?
Right.
So I think of food as the supplements that I'm taking to build that good blood chemistry, micronutrient levels.
Yeah.
And then my hormonal, you know, output is a direct result of what I'm eating.
Wow.
But you can use your period, like, so you were getting the long spacing.
Yeah.
But you can also use the color of your period to see what's going on with your hormonal levels.
Okay.
So, you know, I I like to brag about this because we should celebrate it. A couple of years ago, I was on Dr. Oz and I didn't know at the time, but after I realized and was told that I made TV history feminist history, menstrual history, because I went on and I had 4 little white plates and fruit juice, 4 different colors of fruit juice, and I simulated the 4 different colors of menstrual blood you could have.
Oh my God.
And talked about what they each mean for which estrogen-progesterone ratio you might be having.
Oh, wow.
And it was this segment, half the producers didn't want to have me on because they're like, we can't have simulated menstrual blood on national television. The other half were like, yes. Yes. So that was awesome that worked out. And it's just so important. Actually, 1 year ago, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists decreed that your cycle is your 5th vital sign. So, what are vital signs? Blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen rate, temperature. And if you have ovaries, your period.
Wow.
Just as important. Let's just pause.
That's amazing.
Let's just pause. Okay.
That's crazy.
Like your temperature and your heart rate and your period.
Yeah,
okay?
that's amazing.
And there was no way for any woman to know this information that I shared on the segment. So I built a tool, a free tool. It's called your period type quiz. You can go to floliving.com.
I took it.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
You can take it every month for free. I just want you to know what color you have.
Right.
Answer the 7 questions and then get the results that you need to know about. You might have slightly low progesterone this month. There'll be some food recommendations that you can start to use. You might have elevated estrogen. You want to know how to respond immediately to the small symptoms so that it doesn't snowball and turn into a big condition.
Got it.
Because every big official condition, from PCOS to fibroids to endometriosis, all start with small little signs that the body's not working the way that it wants to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if, let's say, like I have a girlfriend who doesn't get her period.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send her to the site
Yeah.
because I feel like she should take the quiz.
Yeah.
So when does the quiz prompt you? Like, does it prompt every month for you to take it?
It doesn't. I mean, I'm not,
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
like women, I'm a woman, I don't like to have things like pushed in my face, you know,
Okay.
like, so the site, I built floliving.com because when I went through my experience, I was shocked that conventional medicine had no solutions for me.
Right.
Like they flat out said, we can't do anything for you. And that's not unique to PCOS. If anybody who's listening has fibroids or endo,
Right.
or PMDD or PCOS or anything with your cycle, any symptom at all, there's nothing for you except maybe a surgical procedure, which doesn't cure you,
Right.
and maybe the pill, that's a whole other conversation, which makes the condition worse. Long term and messes with lots of things. So I just thought, I can't believe we live in modern historical times and the care available to a woman is non-existent.
Yeah.
There needs to be a place for your period problems.
Totally.
And that's what floliving.com is. It's the place for your periods.
Love that.
You have to have information.
Yeah.
You have to have the solution. You have to have the
Totally.
support. So that's what it is.
Okay, so can we go back to color?
Yeah.
Okay, so what does color, like, what's optimal color?
Cranberry juice.
Okay.
Okay, like a nice, fresh, healthy red. I mean, I'm approximating, right? But if you
Okay.
think about, if you ever have blood drawn,
Yeah.
it's red as it's coming out the tube, and then when it sits in the
It's
test tube,
dark.
it starts to turn that like dark blue purple color.
Yeah.
So you want that red color.
Okay.
Okay. Then you can have the dark blue purple color. That's another type that we call that the blue type. That's when you have too much estrogen. When it's red, you have the perfect balance of estrogen and progesterone. When it's blue, purple, clotty, heavy, dark, long, bleeding, too much estrogen. When it's brown, like prune juice, okay, not enough progesterone. You're gonna have brown staining at the start. It might go purple, it might go red, it might go pink. Pink is not enough estrogen, like pink lemonade, right? Mm-hmm. So those are the 4 colors. And then you can have the 5th option, which is what happened to you, kind of like MIA, question mark, period. Is it coming, is it not,
Right.
too long, too
Right.
short?
Right.
Those are all sort of like the timing is off. That's the
Okay.
5th type. But yeah, that's it. Those are the only 5 things that could possibly happen with your period. They each mean a specific thing for your hormonal levels,
Right.
and they're each correctable within 1 cycle if you get your food right.
Wow.
That's it.
So it's all everything can be curable with like the right amount of nutrients and food.
You can put into remission. I've worked with women who've struggled with endometriosis for 20 years. Somebody please send me Lena Dunham. She
was at this event that I DJ'd last night.
Oh my gosh.
I should have told her that I was going to see you.
There you go. I mean, I'm dying to get my hands on her uterus, to be honest, because she is suffering, and she, Tia Mowry just came out with a book about her experience of resolving her endometriosis with food, right? So important to tell these stories. My story about going into remission with PCOS, the thousands of women we have worked with in 216 countries.
Wow.
Bringing them back to their optimal vitality. What I'm fundamentally talking about, I think, the boys have been doing this forever, like the biohackers, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're so excited about optimizing their everything, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we want to do that?
I know. And I think we do want to do that. We just didn't know how.
I think we're dancing around our core functionality. If we're not really optimizing our cyclical hormonal patterns, we can't ever be optimally healthy.
Right.
Period. Okay, that is a fact. Because whether or not you want to acknowledge that you have these hormonal things happening, they are happening. And they are affecting every aspect of your brain function, your cognitive abilities, your exercise stamina, building muscle, orgasmic potential, and it's meant to affect you in positive ways.
Right.
So if you nourish it, then you can be like the most productive, creative, happy,
Superwoman.
like orgasmically delicious person.
So let's talk about orgasms and exercise.
Let's.
Okay, so how do you optimize deliciousness at orgasm?
It actually follows a very similar pattern to the exercise. So it's good that you bundled them together. So you have these estrogen, progesterone, testosterone fluctuates throughout the cycle.
Yeah.
A really important study just came out recently about how because of that fluctuation, women, I love all these lab coat people because they really keep backing up everything that I've been talking about for 20 years.
Good,
so it's nice.
as they should.
Nice.
Finally.
Well, the research has always been there. I think they're just doing new and more studies, which is great. So it just keeps driving the point home. So we know for sure that women should only be doing high intensity interval training through the first half of their cycle.
Okay.
After that, it starts to have opposite effects on the adrenals and can make us gain weight instead of gain muscle. So if you've been beating yourself up because you go to your boot camp class the first half of the cycle and you're like, yes, you come out like you're like floating out of class.
Yeah.
And then 10 days later you go in and you're like, please somebody let me melt out the door without noticing.
Right.
It's not because you've become weak
it's
or
just
something's wrong with you, because you are actually, your body's trying to tell you this is the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Wow.
Have you had any friends who've trained for like a marathon or triathlon or like half anything?
Yeah.
And they've gained weight? It's very, very common that happens because you're forcing yourself to exercise at the same capacity every day of your cycle. And it can, in that second half, really pack on the pounds.
Okay.
So in the MyFlow app, we tell you, it prompts you, you go into which, the app will tell you which phase you're in, which is so good because how are you supposed to know?
Right.
And then it tells you what to do, what foods to eat, what exercise you should focus on, and then you pick the one you want and you just schedule it into your main calendar.
Amazing.
Right, so you don't have to think about, you don't have to memorize all the stuff that I'm teaching you right now.
Okay.
The app will just prompt you to do it. And so, follicular phase is like light cardio, ovulatory phase is like high intensity interval training, PMS phase, the luteal phase is
yoga, Pilates,
like not high intensity strength training, but you could do like body resistance training. And then on the menstruation phase, it really depends on where you are. If you're healthy and you've been in the flow for a couple of cycles, you can do a good power walk, you could do a yoga class, you could do a Pilates class. If you're healing, you might need to take a professional nap, as I like to call it. Like a schedule in, like your exercise should be a nap.
Oh,
because you want to heal your adrenals, you want to rest and restore. Not because your energy's supposed to fall apart.
Right.
No. It's just in the healing work, you may need a cycle or two where you do rest.
Right.
But when you get balanced, you feel great all month.
I love that.
There's no symptoms. You just do the right thing at the right time.
I feel like I could really take advantage of this because I am in the beginning
follicular phase.
Yeah. So I can really take advantage of my cycle this month because I'm getting like all of this info early in my cycle.
You can start at any time. But yes, I mean, it helps you keep your energy buoyant in the second half if you do the right exercise in the first half.
Okay.
And you're a fitness guru, right? So you know that cross-training your exercise is really good for your body.
Right.
Prevents injury, helps with not like repetitive, like overbuilding one muscle versus another.
Right.
You know, your body, your cycle is here to give you like the exact blueprint you need to follow to be your healthiest self in every way.
Love that.
Right? But like, we don't have to go outside to get this. It's in you.
Right.
You're encoded with it. That's why the book is called Woman Code.
Right.
Because you have this perfect system. All you need to do is follow it. And the app just makes it so much easier so you don't have to think about what to remember to do. It just tells you.
Totally.
Yeah. And orgasm.
Yes. Let's talk about it.
That's fun. So again, with these testosterone fluctuations, you know, I always say like ovulation is the phase that I think we're all the most comfortable with because it's the phase where we need the least foreplay. We have extra lubrication due to cervical fluid being present. We have the most testosterone surge that we're going to get that month because we are being, you know, behaviorally like motivated to reproduce. An egg is dropping. You are fertile. You are in the mood. At the most you're going to be in the mood is during ovulation.
Got it.
So everything, all your hormones, everything is coming together to make you want to have sex and to make sex pleasurable and easy, which is why you need the least amount of foreplay.
Got it.
However, the more time you spend on your clitoral orgasm during ovulation, the biggest clitoral orgasms are available to you during ovulation.
Okay.
As long as you don't use a vibrator and short circuit your 8,000 nerve endings.
Okay.
FYI. So there's that.
Okay.
Luteal phase. Again, you have a good surge of testosterone.
And luteal phase
comes right after ovulation.
ovulation.
It's the longest phase of the cycle, 10 to 12 days between ovulation and when you start bleeding.
Okay.
This is the phase where most people feel like they have the worst symptoms because they're hormonally imbalanced. But PMS is not your destiny. You're not supposed to have it at all. I don't have it at all. You shouldn't have it at all.
I don't really have it.
Nobody should have it.
Right.
It's a myth.
Okay.
The myth of you're supposed to have PMS is a myth. It's not biologically the case.
Right.
Unless you're eating the wrong way and doing all the wrong things, which how could you not be doing? Because who's teaching you this stuff? I don't know. It's a vicious cycle. Well, Flo Living. Sign up for the blog.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then, you know, luteal phase is like where it's like the foreplay phase, I think. You know, this is the time where you want to really spend time not rushing to penetration of any sort, whether you're with a man or a woman.
Right.
You want to take your time really working on clitoral stimulation. Mm-hmm. Did you know that if we look at things in like a bell curve, most women fall under the bell, the bigger part of the bell, where they have really, they're designed and optimized to have most sensation from the clitoris. And there are a few outliers on either side of the bell that can have a lot of sensation in the vaginal canal, and others that have none. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking that you're supposed to get all your pleasure from penetration, it's not how you were designed.
Right.
Just fact. I like facts, okay? Because you can just change your whole relationship to yourself by understanding the science of your body.
Totally.
You don't have to criticize yourself. You don't have to think, oh, why am I not getting there faster? Why doesn't this feel good? Take more time for your clitoris and you will be a happier camper overall.
Got it.
And during the luteal phase especially.
Okay.
In the Partner Sync feature of the MyFlow app, because I love you, you just drop in your lover's email address and I will teach him or her what to do in your phase for your pleasure, because you know, everybody should just have this information.
Yeah.
So, and then it also really, you know, so I've been cycle syncing my relationship since I met my husband.
Okay.
Almost 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we've been married for almost 5, I don't know. He keeps all the numbers. But anyway, about half that time. And, you know, I always joke like he could teach this class. Right. Because we've been just cycle syncing our relationship from the beginning. And what's so empowering about that is he always feels like he knows just what to do at the right time to like optimize our good interaction.
Yes.
And things don't get into a rut.
Right.
Because we are switching it up sexually each week to be in alignment with my cycle.
Right.
And you might be asking, well, gee, that's a little like sexist maybe that I would orient our whole relationship around my cycle. But we have to, because men only have a 24-hour cycle. It's like Groundhog Day with the boys.
That's crazy.
They go to bed at night. If they go to bed at the right time, they will make the maximum amount of their testosterone while they're sleeping. And then when they wake up, they have all that testosterone, which is why men like to like get up in the morning and exercise and have sex.
Right.
So that's when they have all their testosterone. End of the day is a bad time for guys to have sex, not their ideal time at night. And depending on where you are in your cycle, that can change for you as well, time of day.
Okay.
But in order for us to have maximum interaction, pleasurable interaction, we have to orient our relationship as a whole around my cyclical patterns. It's
like the planets.
Boom.
Literally.
You know, women happen to be the portion of humanity that, you know, populates the entire planet.
Right.
We have a whole cyclical pattern that is, if we really look at it, you know, and I talk about this in other classes that I do, it really maps exactly onto the creation matrix.
Wow.
How anything is brought into existence. These hormonal patterns are designed to make you a really powerful person. And tapping into them doesn't just make you healthier, it just makes you more you. And whatever you're here to do this life is going to be brought to fruition more quickly and efficiently by deeply aligning with yourself.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about for the what phase am I in again?
You're in the follicular phase.
What's the best
for that?
Yeah.
So I like to say something new and interesting and something that's oxygenating. So like getting out for like a big hike and then coming home and like having a makeout session, or
love that.
Getting out and doing something social and that brings your energy up, because your hormones are kind of at a low level, and so you need to use oxytocin to really help you get there. And so anything that's going to like build up your energy, an exercise class, doing something together that gets you in your bodies, and then come home and do something new, right?
Okay, cool.
Even adding in a little element of something new to the bedroom.
Right.
You know, role playing or something fun.
Okay.
All of that's good in the follicular phase. Ovulation is like your, you know, hot and heavy, quick and dirty, if that's what you want. It doesn't have to be, but if you want it, that's the best time to do it. Luteal phase is like, love me up, love me down, romance me, slow down, more foreplay.
Right.
And then menstrual phase, it really depends on whether or not you want to.
Right.
Some women do not. It's actually, even though you're bleeding and you have the wetness from the menstrual blood, it's actually it's one of your dry phases. So menstruation and follicular phase are a dry phase. Note to the follicular phase, always use lubricant.
Okay.
In your follicular phase and your menstrual phase. Even though you may get wet at some point, don't try to start the party without some additional support, because it's a dry week.
Okay.
You're going to be dry.
Okay.
And you may be dry the whole time, depending on what's going on, until you get fully aroused, which, by the way, so just to give you perspective on how much support you need for your own pleasure, men's orgasmic response is, you know, they can get an erection in under a minute if everything's working right, cardiovascularly. Our full tumescence is the word that describes the blood engorgement of all the tissue in the labia, the vulva. Tumescence. It's like luminescence, but phosphorescence. It's a magical word, tumescence. When you're fully tumesced, that takes about 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So if you shouldn't even be looking to have anything in terms of penetration until you are fully tumesced.
Wow.
Which is when you will start to have achieve maximal lubrication. So give yourself a lot more time and use lube until you're ready, right?
Right.
Definitely in your dry phases, which is menstrual and follicular. But so if you're going to have sex while you're menstruating, you are going to need lube. But some women aren't into it. And so you shouldn't feel like you have to.
There's a new lube out there with CBD in it.
Interesting. I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like very stimulating.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think if you're especially if you're someone who likes to have sex during menstruation to alleviate cramps, but we're going to talk about cramps in a second. CBD oil can be a great addition to that.
Okay, right.
Conversation.
Because CBD is very helpful to
alleviating cramping
and muscle relaxation.
Exactly.
Right. So tell us, let's do a little Mythbusters segment.
Cool.
Okay, cramps.
First of all, let's all just take a deep breath, because we have been talking about a lot of stuff.
That's true.
A lot of stuff.
On and on.
Just breathe into your ovaries and everything is going to be all right.
Breathe into those ovaries.
Deep, deep, deep down.
Also, what kind of, just side note, what kind of yoga breathing do you think does it change per week on the cycle?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, I think you can really like switch up your yoga practice.
If like yoga's your thing, like
yoga's
you could do
your
different
jam,
types of.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. I mean, I think off the top of my head, I would do super hot yoga during the follicular week.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't do it again, right? And then I would do yin yoga towards your like the actual start of your bleed.
Okay.
I would do maybe like Ashtanga,
Flow.
very aggressive, like where you need to be the strongest. I would do that ovulatory.
Okay.
And then I would do more of like a Hatha style Kundalini during luteal phase.
Okay, got it. Very cool.
Yeah, so you can really play with your exercise to really honor where you're at.
Love that. I'm so excited to get into that.
Be where you're at. Like, don't try to be, you're not in your testosterone phase, so don't go pushing yourself that way. And I feel like get the bigger gains cycle over cycle.
And all I do is like at the beginning, the top of my week is when I schedule like my week's worth of
everything, exercise.
Yeah, exercise. So I can just do that.
Yeah.
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited to work out for my hormones.
I'm so glad. It's revolutionary. It will change your body in the best possible way.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
And your energy and like and your happiness with
yourself.
You're not going to be like criticizing yourself.
Right.
You're going to be like, well, I'm not supposed to do that, so I don't feel bad that I'm not wanting to do it.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to do it, actually.
Exactly. It kind of verifies the feelings that you've been feeling.
Yes.
Which is so validation of your feelings, your everything.
Because let's just say that for a second.
Yeah, validation.
The whole world is set up in a way to make you question everything that you're feeling.
Right.
Because it's all being operating on this 24-hour male hormonal pattern.
Right.
So you feel like a crazy person because you're like, I can't be the same way every day. What's wrong with me? Nothing. You're in the wrong paradigm. Just step into yourself.
Right.
This is your paradigm.
Right.
Be that. Do that. And all will be well.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so back to myth. Let's bust some myths.
Some myths. Okay. My favorite one is the cramp myth because, I mean, that shit is biblical.
Yeah.
They're like, you're going to suffer. It's going to be painful. Seems like we just have no way to get around it. Mm-hmm. But it is far from the truth. It is not your biological destiny. It's not even by nature's design. So you have 3 hormones that govern uterine contraction. They're called PGE1, 2, and 3. Prostaglandins 1 and 3 control uterine relaxation.
Okay.
You have 2 of those. PGE2 controls uterine contraction. You got only one of those. Hold on, little quick math break. You got twice as many hormones causing the relaxation, and you only get half of as many causing contractions.
Right. So where's that?
So that equals no cramps.
Right.
That is what you are set up to have.
When you're in a hormonal
when
balance.
You are taking care of your cycle, no cramps.
Right.
But even if you're still healing all the things wrong with your cycle, just changing the fats that you eat, PGE2, so the natural question you would ask is, well, gee, Lisa, then why are we having cramps?
Right.
If you're eating canola oil and other processed fats, your body's going to make more PGE2 and suppress the production of PGE1 and 3, therefore equaling cramps.
Oh, wow.
You eat coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil,
and it's all
no
good.
Cramps.
Wow. That's such an easy...
Right? So, I just love the science because the science is just irrefutable.
Wow.
You don't have to you don't have to walk around with wrong thinking.
Right.
You've been lied to.
Right.
You have been lied to that you're supposed to suffer.
Wow.
It's just a lie. It's just a lie.
Okay, so cramps, that was myth number 1. Myth number 2, that it's okay that you didn't get your period.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's a bad one.
People think that it's totally normal. I didn't get my period this month. Whatever.
Like, hooray.
I'm like
what a win. Yeah, no, that's not a win. That means something, like someone, next time you hear a friend say that, grab them by the shoulders and say, you're on fire. Something's wrong. You got to go take the quiz, figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Take action.
Yeah.
You know, read the.
I'm literally sending the quiz to 2 of my girlfriends.
And then like have them download the app and read the there's a functional medicine explanation for each and every symptom you could possibly have with your cycle. What's the point of tracking your period? When I was setting out to build this, I thought, what is the point of tracking your period if you can't fix it?
Right.
What's the point of just knowing, oh, in 3 weeks I'm going to feel crazy again?
Yeah. No.
That's not helpful.
No, it's not.
I don't think.
No.
But how about, why am I feeling this way? And what should I eat to get out of it within the next 30 days?
Wow. Okay.
I thought that would be better.
Very cool. And do you kind of like, I guess vegans and people like you can just kind of like tailor it to yourself, or?
Yeah, let's talk about raw vegan.
Or I was going to say, well, because the reason why I ask is because like I'm not anything. I eat whatever I want when I want to. Like I like to, I like to like not eat gluten sometimes because sometimes gives me a stomach ache. Like I kind of know like my sensitivities, all that stuff. I don't really like to eat dairy, but I do crave meat when I am on my period. As you should.
You're making the lowest levels of all your hormones. And what are hormones made from? Do you know? Anybody know? I'm gonna tell you. Amino acids. Where do we get amino acids?
Protein.
Ding, ding, ding. So
that makes so much sense.
When you cycle sync your diet, you're going to find and you go into the app, you're going to see the foods that I'm recommending for the week of menstruation are protein-rich foods.
Right.
Now, if you're vegan,
there are other options.
For you to
get proteins.
If you're hormonally balanced.
Right.
If your period's all jacked up, you may need to use animal protein like a supplement for 2 to 3 cycles till you get your hormones balanced, and then you can go back to your vegan sources of protein.
Got it.
You don't have to eat it every day, you just have to eat it at the right times of the cycle, which is really mainly the menstrual phase.
Right.
And the rest of the time you can do your vegan sources.
Okay.
But even when you eat raw foods and green juices, has to be timed to when you are able to do that and accept that nutrition during your cycle. Other times it can be damaging.
Interesting, because I don't really like to drink juice because I feel like it makes me bloated and it like breaks me out, but maybe I'm just having it the wrong time of my cycle.
You can only do it during ovulation. Wow. If you do it during ovulation, it's gonna make you feel really good.
Okay.
It's gonna support the metabolism of all that extra estrogen that's spiking at that time for ovulation.
Cool.
Any other time of the month, it's not gonna make you feel good.
This is so fun because then you're like constantly like switching it up and you're never gonna get bored.
And you get to enjoy all the different food trends without having to commit, because it's not right for your body to be just like, oh, I'm doing this diet because it's good. Who said?
Yeah.
And based on what physiological paradigm? Likely it's based on a 24-hour male paradigm. Not on yours, because if it was based on yours, it would be cycle syncing your diet.
Right.
Period. I got to drop that in at least 2 or 3 times.
I love it. Okay, so myth number 3. Let's maybe say, okay, am I crazy? I'm gonna be crazy in 2 months. Oh, I'm just hormonally crazy. Like the whole
don't
crazy.
Mind me. I'm like crazy this week. I've got my PMS. Don't talk to me.
Yeah,
I'm on my period.
What the fuck is that about?
I love that question. The second question. What is that about? Well, it's first and foremost, you're hormonal every day of your life, from birth till the end. Like to call it out like, oh, I'm hormonal is also.
Like, why is that negative? Like, it's not like,
well, because
I'm being hormonal this week.
Because we demonize everything about the female body, historically,
okay.
and menstruation especially.
Right.
I mean, gosh, we had, my sister Kiran Gandhi, she ran the marathon in London and was free bleeding because she didn't want to run with,
Right.
And people were like, oh my God.
Right.
And there was another girl who
right. Well, maybe because they feel like people thought it was like unhygienic, which...
Why would they think that?
Did you know? Blood.
Actually, it's not quite blood, like blood from your arm. Menstrual blood is actually the richest source of stem cells in your body.
But that's why people like turn their placenta into pills.
It's a whole bunch. The fact that we eat, that you even have that little, like you were so righteous a minute ago, but then you were like, ew. You see, the conditioning is deep. The social conditioning around how you should be like turned off by this is deep.
Right.
So just be aware of that, and that's the answer to the question of like, why do we say that?
Right.
Because of that.
Well, it's like, I don't want to stain my like pants.
Fine.
Right.
That's okay.
But if
I'm not suggesting that we're all free bleeding.
Right. But
I'm just saying.
If one accepts the fact that they want to free bleed, then they should be able to free bleed.
I mean, this is
right?
the point. We're talking about why do we say we're hormonal?
Right.
We say it like that because we
are programmed.
We're kind of conditioned to feel really negatively about our biological processes.
And it's deep-rooted.
And it's deep-rooted, and it's all based on lies and misinformation and withholding of education. I mean, I remember sex ed.
Yeah.
You remember sex ed.
Yeah.
Was it like what I just told you?
No, definitely not.
Right. So therefore it was not good.
Right.
So the problem is you've been walking around your whole life trying to figure out what this is all about without any information.
Right.
And you're being actively kind of marketed to that it's like bad, painful, gross.
Here are these meds, like, you know,
and so you say things like, oh, I'm on the rag, oh, I'm a bitch, oh, this and that, and like we joke about it.
Right.
But we shouldn't be joking about it. The NIH published a really important study called the Biocycle Study that showed that untreated PMS symptoms in your 20s and 30s increase the likelihood of the 4 big diseases of inflammation postmenopausally. That means if you joke about your PMS and don't get in the flow, you will have an increased risk after your very last period in your 50s of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, and dementia. You want to joke?
Terrifying.
You want to joke about that? I don't think that's
terrifying.
I don't think that's funny at all.
No, that's terrifying.
Without this information, you don't know you're on fire. You don't know, oh my God, I need to change my diet today.
Right.
So get rid of my PMS next week.
Right.
So I don't have to be sick when I'm, now and later.
Right.
So I think this myth around like joking about it and like taking it lightly is probably super dangerous.
Super dangerous because it sounds like also like it's like everything that you're talking about is also like preventative healthcare. Yeah.
I mean, if you're someone who's watching this series, it's because you care about your health.
Yeah.
It's because you want to do right with your diet. It's because you want to be on the leading edge of all these things. You have to honor the fact that you are a cyclical female creature.
Right.
And that has to run all your decisions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. And then maybe the last myth. So we did, what was our last myth again? I forget.
Oh, that like the cure-all to all, you should just go on the pill.
Oh yeah.
Like just go on the pill.
Just go on the pill, it'll fix everything.
Or like the hormonal IUD or the hormonal ring or the hormonal patch or whatever synthetic hormonal thing. Doesn't have to just be the pill.
And people think that, I'm assuming, because it is synthetic hormones, it is balancing out your hormones, but it's not naturally doing it?
Actually, no. It's not balancing out your hormones. It's suppressing your hormonal production altogether.
Oh.
As soon as you start taking, in any form, those synthetic hormones, your hormonal conversation, estrogen, progesterone, everything else, stops.
Got it.
You aren't cycling at all.
Got it.
When you take the sugar pills, you have a breakthrough bleed. If you have the hormonal IUD, some women just stop bleeding altogether.
Okay.
Same thing with the NuvaRing and other things like that, or the patch. And then what is happening with that as a result of those synthetic hormones is it's stripping your microbiome of balance. Your your gut bacteria is all off. Your magnesium levels are maximally depleted. Your B vitamins are depleted. When you go off of this medication that you were told would fix your period is now more dysfunctional. Your hormones are worse off. Now listen, don't get me wrong, and I say this very clearly in Woman Code. If you're someone who has no hormonal problems, your period is beautiful, like I'm describing, no symptoms, everything is regular, it's a red color, it's happy days, okay? You can go on and off the pill or any hormonal synthetic birth control that you want to prevent pregnancy because that's what it was designed to do in a healthy menstruating woman.
Right.
But if you have hormonal problems, period issues, a diagnosis of something,
right,
it's not the best treatment. And instead, what you should be doing first is working with diet and really putting that situation into remission naturally.
Right.
Because then you don't have to go off the pill 10 to 15 years later when you're ready to have a baby or whatever, if you just want to go off of it, which a lot of women do. They're like, oh, I just don't feel like taking this anymore.
Right.
And then you'll have this, huge relapse of symptoms. You might struggle with fertility. It's just, it's like, and every woman I've worked with that then finds that out the hard way wishes that she was told that in the beginning because she wouldn't have made that choice.
Right.
Again, without this information, we're making choices about our health that have long-term effects that we're not fully aware of. We just don't have visibility into it, and that's why I'm so passionate about
delivering the information
in any way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I love periods. I love women. I think you should love your period. I think you should love yourself.
Yes.
Please use the resources on Flo Living.
Please go take your period quiz now.
Yeah, it's right on the homepage, flowliving.com. Sign up for the blog. Download myflowtracker.com. And of course, you can read Woman Code. You know, it's a good read.
Awesome. I'm going to read it. I need it.
It's good.
I love a Woman Code.
I love that you are using the app. I'm so excited for you to be like
Me
cycle syncing
too.
your life.
I can't wait to cycle sync.
I can't wait to hear like the little. We have women who are writing me like, I asked for a raise like you told me to during ovulation. I got a 10% raise.
Oh my God. Love that.
The applications of this, you know, you got to dive into the app. It's really fun.
Okay, I'm going to. I'm really going to try and do it with my exercise specifically because I think that could really help with my adrenals, and I really need to work on my stress and my adrenals.
I love it.
Yep,
I can't wait
and
to
my
hear.
sleep.
I can't wait to hear how it's getting you back in the flow.
Yes.
This is
Thank
awesome.
You so
Thank
much.
you. This is so fun.
This is amazing.